When I was a kid, I used to dress like a man because I honestly believed that people would let me stand on my own 2 feet. The more hoodies I wore and the hats I put on would perceive this image that I'm strong and let people around me know that I belong on this earth as much as the next person of worth. A few years went on and I started to change. I ditched all my hoodies and I chose statements more strange. I wore skirts over jeans and a whole other range of styles and clothing to discover who I really wanted to be. I got called names at school, like ugly or weird, because the peers that surrounded me found it easier to sneer than to cheer. People said I was fat when I weighed 8 stone and left me nasty messages on my phone, so when I got home and surrounded by my supportive, loving family, I still felt alone. I began to hate the girl I'd grown to be and think I'd have no chance in this industry, in this art that I'd admired since I was 3. I cut off all my hair and I threw out half of my clothes in the hope that these girls would just leave me alone. But when I discovered my BDD, I realised my school was no longer for me. I fought my place hard and I wanted to see how hard I could push to be unique, to be myself. More years went by and I grew up even more than I thought so possible. Fashion didn't mean so much to me anymore, but I was left with the enemy to point out my flaws and allow this raw hatred of myself to take over. I began to dress a little less extravagant, to blend into the world that I saw fit. I wasn't comfortable, but playing it safe rather than sorry would ease my worries, wouldn't it? But that didn't really happen. I got beeped in the street by men in vans, and I couldn't quite understand why wearing a skirt, a top and a pair of red Vans would get all of this attention. I hated myself even more because the men made me feel dirty and worthless, like I was asking for it by what I chose to wear, so I started to compare myself to other women with bare legs and small waists and wondering what it would be like to be them instead. Or if they had got beeped too. I'd already been called weird by the girls in school. I no longer wanted to be the fool and tell anyone my thoughts. So I didn't. But in a coffee shop, on my own, one day, the woman next to me was explaining equal pay to a man who said she didn't have a say in the way that the company works, because she's a woman. She argued her point and said it was unfair to declare that a woman shouldn't care about anything bigger than what she was cooking for dinner. She said these words that I was dying to hear for years of feeling lonely around my peers, these 4 words that would stop all of my fears. The beeps in the street and the comments from so-called men. I am a feminist. I went home and started to research this word and found articles like feminism is a curse and comments like the money in a woman's purse is made by a man and it should stay that way. I felt this anger in the pit of my stomach, and finally everything started to make sense. The girls making fun of me because I wasn't dressed in layers of makeup and hair extensions. The movies I watched where a male was the lead began to feed this need that I had to be respected. I had to be listened to. The hoodies I wore when I was 13 was the part of me that just wanted to be seen. It was this moment I realised how strong I'd been. I could be the queen of my own kingdom. I decided to make my own choices in life and thrive in ways that I decide, to provide myself with hard work and pride and not be denied or deprived of work because of my gender. I still wear my hoodies and I have all of my hats. I also have dresses and heels and nice coats. I wear what I want and I care little about what other people say, because the way that I've grown up to the woman that I am today is that it's okay to disobey the so-called rules in this game that we play. Stay true to what you believe in Do not be discriminated for wearing a skirt or feel the hurt in wearing an open shirt. Be proud of your gender and the person you are, because if it wasn't for the woman who fought so hard to get us to where we are, we would not be allowed to be ourselves.